crazier and crazier and crazier. So I'm going to try to keep this as simple as for you. I could have made a video 5 times yesterday, and then I'm sitting here like, well, we got new news. So I'm going to try to make this like bullet points because a lot of people are very confused, all right? And I completely understand. I'm still kind of confused even after diving into all of this and trying to make sense of what is the hell is happening because it's hard to wrap your head around. But basically, chaos is still ensuing. San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, and Colorado State, as we know, all joined the Pac-12. So then you have the Mountain West Conference is like, okay, let's all stay together. And then, like I said, they could use monetary incentives from the money they get coming in to the schools, which they did. And then Memphis, Tulane, USF, and UTSA is who the Pac-12 was going after. Turns out it's not going to happen. They stay with the AAC. They all announced that they are staying there, which makes sense. I mean, they didn't know for sure that Pac-12 TV contract money that everyone was touting, like 10 to 15 million, they couldn't solidly say, yes, that's what we're getting. So I understand why those schools stayed put. Memphis apparently was even talking to the Big East for basketball. It seemed like they really wanted to go. But then you would also be paying a lot in exit fees as the Pac-12. And it turns out they really didn't move the bottom line that much once people looked into it, which does suck because I really wanted them in Memphis to for sure go. But it is what it is. Now we talk about all that finance. It doesn't matter because that's in the past. They're not coming. Okay, so then it's like, all right, they turn their attention like Wyoming's AD said. And then I said last week, they're going to turn right back to the Mountain West. And what do? They turn to the Mountain West, and boom, Utah State is going to the Pac-12. And then, let me make sure I get this right. Dellinger says Mountain West got signed agreements from 7 of 8 members, including, it turns out, UNLV. They were 1 signature away from security, but now they are in jeopardy of dissolution. If UNLV and Air Force exit as the 6th and 7th departures, 9 votes needed to dissolve. And here's the thing. If UNLV does leave, most likely Air Force is on its way out going to the American. It makes sense to be with the other service academies. But here's the thing. This is where I was sitting here. I was like, it could be like fear-mongering saying the Mountain West Conference is going to like die, cease to exist. But this UNLV decision is very important. And obviously there's some politics stuff into it. I keep hearing it doesn't matter with Nevada. It matters with Nevada, all this other stuff. But UNLV's exit, like I said, will probably send Air Force into the AAC, most likely. But here's the thing. If UNLV leaves and Air Force leaves, that would be the 7th member to exit the conference, and then you need support from 9 of the 12 football members to dissolve the conference. So basically, you would only need 2 of the 5 remaining full Mountain West members, which are Wyoming, Hawaii, San Jose State, Nevada, and New Mexico, would have to vote in support of dissolution, which could be possible, but there is also a lot of money in. So then you got to think if you're the Pac-12, screw it. Let's throw that money at 2 of the other schools or whatever. And if we can get them to join, we may not have to pay any of that money to the Mountain West. I think if the conference dissolves, that one I could be wrong, but Ross Dellinger even said, one unnamed athletic director said, in terms of that idea, would be a play, honestly. He said, in quote, that's the play, honestly. So it might be in the best interest for the Pac-12 to kill the Mountain West, which is crazy. I mean, it's a dog-eat-dog world. I see people getting mad at the Pac-12, like, oh, they're ruining. I was like, guys, we can just keep stacking and stacking and stacking with that. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Look, I know this isn't a college football world-shaking upgrade, and people are like I said, I said last video, people said this isn't important. It is, because, yes, these schools it's not like they're jumping to the SEC or something, but like I said, in this dog-eat-dog world where you're just fighting, climbing over each other, trying to survive, position yourself in that much better of a spot, because this is just an ever-changing landscape currently in this like Wild West era that we're in college football. You want to put yourself in the best spot financially and just structurally, which there isn't really much structure in most conferences, honestly, but to get yourself ahead. And right now, the name of the game is survival. I mean, there ain't no loyalties, nothing. I mean, backstabbing has to happen currently. If people want to say Utah State backstabs, whatever, that's how it is. The schools are going to have a better brand name with the Pac-12. They are going to have less schools, most likely, and get more money, but they're also going to have a better payday. Like, even if it's just that much, it's still better. That's the thing. To them, it's better. But then you have most people who watch it like, man, I don't give a shit about Boise State. I don't care about them. It's like, don't listen to people who they don't understand anything unless you're talking about Alabama or Ohio State. But in all terms of seriousness, this is pretty much what happened. Oh, one thing I almost forgot. Gonzaga is a possibility with basketball, like I said in the last one. And people are like, even Ross Dellinger said that about Gonzaga with basketball, and UConn possibly as a football-only member, which at first you're like, that makes no sense, which nothing really makes sense anymore, but it is a body to throw in there to the football conference. But you got to think for TV deals and stuff like that, the East Coast is obviously the East Coast, so if they can get UConn, and it makes sense for UConn because unless you're Notre Dame, it makes zero sense to be independent. Like, look at UMass doing the stuff with the MAC, or going to the MAC. And it makes sense because those schools do not need to be independent. They need to get into any conference they can, in whatever sport they can, in my opinion. So if you could stack up even smaller brands on the East Coast, that's good. I'm sure it'll incentivize some kind of TV deal bump or in that regard. And then regarding Gonzaga, basically people are like, they said they're not going to, but these people say they are. I think it's basically just a behind closed doors deal. Like, look, if you get the football stuff figured out, we'll join. If you get the 8 full members, we'll join. We'll be there for basketball. Hawaii, apparently they're talking to the Pac-12 as a football only member, and then they're still talking to the Mountain West. And then apparently people have also said the Conference USA. But it's just getting crazy. So pretty much, like I said, the first 4 schools left. Then it looked like the Mountain West Conference was going to solidify and stay together. Look, we're getting this money. Let's stay together. Let's hold hands. We're all a team. And then boom, Utah State's gone. And then Memphis, Tulane, USF, and UTSA were all staying in the American. And then Utah State joins the PAC. And then it's like, okay, UNLV, if they go, then Air Force is probably going to dip. And then it's like, oh, shoot, does the Mountain West Conference survive, or do they... I just don't know if it's fear-mongering or not, because then you could also see them add like UTEP and Tarleton State or even New Mexico State if they have to. I just don't know how that works. But then, I mean, I feel bad for schools like Wyoming, Nevada, and San Jose State. It's a weird time, man. I'm sorry if that was confusing. That's just kind of how I've processed this. But I could have another video. This video could be outdated in an hour. I have another one tonight. So if I've missed over something or glossed over something, and this is kind of definitive where we're at for a little bit, let me know. But I feel like we're just getting started in this, and obviously there's going to be a lot more affected from this, because as it's like a snowball effect, it's just going to keep going and accumulate more teams as they go down and down. And if Mountain West doesn't die, then someone else is going to get pulled up, and then that conference will then have to pull up from someone, and someone's going to get hurt in the end. But it's where we're at.